You may know Jared Padalecki from a million things, but most notably from the Gilmore Girls and Friday the 13th, the big reboot that happened a couple years ago. But he's a big, fat fucking TV star on a show called Supernatural, which I have seen very, very many episodes of. I cannot say I've seen all of them, but I've seen enough to claim like super fandom, but not like nerd super fandom. I know there are people here who know a lot more about that universe than I do. They need psychological help. But I know enough. And I love this show, and I've seen at least every episode for the past 3 seasons, and I'm really, really excited. So everybody give it up for Jared Padalecki! Yay! He's working his way through the crowd. Hooray! It's so exciting. Is that right here? Yay! Jared Padalecki, welcome to my show.
Thanks, guys.
It's so exciting.
I didn't realize
to
that
have
was
you.
the first sequel. That's
Yes,
very, very
you
cool.
are my first sequel. It's very exciting. And the last time we did a show together was actually last Comic-Con. That's where we met.
That's right.
Yeah.
We were all alone in a diner.
In a really echoey diner.
Amazing.
Behind Nerd HQ.
That's right.
Yeah,
yes,
behind
that's right.
Zach's thing. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm happy to be back.
And he drank a beer last time, and he's drinking a beer this time.
I'm drinking a beer again.
Because
yeah.
Jared's not fucking around. So
No, I'm
it's
not.
so exciting to have him here. Now, we got to do your origin story the last time we were together.
Yes.
And so rather than do that again, because, we're not rebooting
Sure.
Jared
No.
Padalecki.
It's the same origin.
Yeah,
Nothing's
it's
changed.
not like we
Yeah.
moved on to a different Superman and we got to start from the beginning.
Well, now I'm from a different place entirely. I'm totally different than I used
different place on the
to.
planet.
Yeah.
Your
Now
name,
I'm
not-
Canadian. And I'm a girl.
Yeah, exactly. And then the change. You're just
So
you're
much
mid
for the going,
transition
guys.
right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought we would do a different origin story because I don't feel like we did it that much in the last conversation.
Right.
Which it's just to start with the experience that you've had on the show that you're on right now, which I think anybody who's been on a series for as long as you've been on a series would admit that like something like that changes your life completely.
Yeah. Well, for me also, it's been such a dramatic. I mean, this is season 9 we started a couple weeks ago, and I'm 31 years old, so this has been almost a third of my life.
Yeah.
It's been over a quarter of my life, so it's difficult to think of somebody who kind of has a similar situation. I mean, I guess Jensen, though he's a bit older, and I tease him about it all the time.
He's on his deathbed actually.
It's been a hell of a run. I mean, can you think of what you've done for 9 years of your life? It's been the same thing. I mean, you go to school, but you change schools.
Being married.
Yeah.
I love being married. I really do.
I'm not
I
there
love
yet, as do I. And when we make it
I
tonight,
love being married.
my wife is here, so I,
I
can't say
know.
anything.
It's awesome. I really
No, she's
do.
enormously patient.
Yeah, she's the greatest.
And no kidding. For that, I'm grateful.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's really unique and it's extraordinary for anyone and then for any actor to be on a show for approaching a decade.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the fact that when you came to Supernatural, you came off of another huge series. You were on Gilmore Girls.
Right.
And I want to talk about that because, that was like your first big gig, right?
That was, let me see. That was not my first ever actual gig, but I think I might have touched on this last time, but I went to LA when I was a senior in high school. I booked a pilot that didn't get picked up. It got rebooted and was called Crossing Jordan, I think.
Oh, yeah. That was a real thing.
Yeah, but it was called Silent Witness, and then they just were like, well, we like the idea of a female medical examiner, but this just didn't mesh. We'll do something else. And so they canned that project, but I used the money that I made to go to LA, and I was enrolled at UT Austin to be an engineer. And when I made it to LA, I booked Gilmore Girls and ER, and I paid like...
Yeah, you had like a nice
Belushi's
run.
son.
Yeah.
And Gilmore Girls was supposed to be like 4 episodes. And
Okay.
I met Amy Sherman-Palladino, and she just dug me, and I was like, sweet. I was like off the boat. I was like, hey, guys, like, this is Hollywood, huh? And I think, God love her, and I've run into her since. And I'm like, thank you. And I watched some of the old episodes, and this is not false modesty. Like, I sucked. Like, I was weird and awkward. I remember the feeling of, like, I don't know, and I had acted all my life, but I had no idea how to act on camera.
Yeah.
And then it's like the kissing, and you're like, move your head to, you're like, I'm going to be totally romantic. This is my first kissing scene. And then you're like, okay, and you do it. Like, we didn't catch that. Will you tilt your head this way? And you're like, this is really weird. Like, okay. And you kind of, and it's weird, and it's...
People don't realize also, like, I was watching something the other day where like, this is the most awkward, non-sexual kissing
Oh, yeah.
I have ever, where they're like,
there's
like
nothing-
literally there's like this...
Oh, yeah. Well, that was hot. I mean...
I was like, like a tugboat going in.
For those of you listening, you couldn't appreciate that. That was magic.
But you don't realize the whole time you're doing it that, someone is like, like you're not in the light. We can't see what you're doing. Turn this way. And also it's a stranger you're kissing.
Oh, it's like dudes, like camera dudes, and like sitting there with a boom and scratching their armpits and burping. And you're like, this is how I'm going to film like a kissing scene. All the cute boys do it. And girls have the folders. And Jonathan Taylor Thomas didn't do this, Sorry, all the girls when I grew up, all the girls liked Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
From
so I was like,
Family Guy? No,
what is it?
I don't know. What show?
Home Improvement.
Home Improvement. I didn't watch that show. I was too nerdy to watch.
Oh, I loved it. But I remember I always wanted to be like one of the sons on Home Improvement.
Really?
And all the girls had like the JTT folders, and y'all know. And I was like, fucking JTT. And to bring it full circle, one time when I moved to Hollywood or LA, I was driving down the second apartment I ever lived on in Los Angeles, if anybody knows. Vineland Avenue is north-south, and there's a little small street between Moore Park and Riverside called Ensign. And I lived on one of the buildings on Ensign. And it's barely, I think they call it 4 lanes, so you can park on each side.
Right.
And there was a big SUV coming at me, and I was driving, and there were cars on this side, cars on that side. And I felt that the car was a little bit over into my side. And I was really upset. I was kind of outraged at that point in time. And I was like, so when the guy passed me, I was giving him a dirty look. And I was like, Jesus Christ, that's Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
And then you were like,
yeah. Oh my God.
You hold up your folder. I have a folder.
Did. Wait. I'm not mad. I have your shirt on. Yeah, so it kind of came full circle.
How is that? You were like a romantic interest on that show, and I always feel like it's so weird to come into a show as a love interest, like because you serve a very specific purpose.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like when I came on to Friends, they're like, "Welcome to the show, and now make out with Matt LeBlanc."
Right.
And you're like,
yeah.
I don't think I brushed for this today. Like I need warning.
The whole garlic. No, and that must have been worlds more difficult because obviously Friends is enormous. And when I started Gilmore Girls, it was nothing. Like it was a pilot, and I think I filmed maybe 5 or 6 episodes before it even aired. So I didn't understand the pressure yet. It wasn't like, hey, you're on a gigantic, arguably the most gigantic show of all time.
Right.
Like here, come be interesting and funny, and So I didn't have that pressure, and I didn't have to try and be funny. I don't know.
Well, it was kind of I like that. I mean, the show had a nice, like, dry comedy to it. So it was like,
They're both Amy Sherman and Dan Palladino are both extremely bright and have this great, like, caustic wit and just this very snappy banter. And I can't take credit for any of that because I didn't write any of it. And I also
think you can't deliver that stuff. You have to have the facility to deliver. I mean, you can have great dialogue, but you still have the facility to deliver it. And you've seen an actor who you're like, this is a mouthful for this person, and they can't chew it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sometimes,
And you feel like that a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And then it's up to the editors and the directors to kind of fix it for you.
Oh, God, help me.
I know. But yeah, so there was pressure, but it wasn't insurmountable. And I think I was too naive to it. I mean, I booked it pretty quickly. So it was a double-edged sword because I didn't have time to necessarily learn the technique, but I also didn't have time to worry about it.
Right.
I was like, oh, I guess this is what happens. You move out for a month, and that sounds really arrogant, but I booked things quickly. It just happened.
Yeah.
And I guess, I mean, for a tall white dude, there are many, many roles. So, you know what I mean?
You know what there are? All of the roles.
Exactly.
You know what there are for giant
I'm actually
black
playing
women?
you in a movie
3 of the
next
role.
year.
You are. They're like, we're going to cast Aisha Tyler in the role. It's Aisha Tyler life story.
I just got cast as Aisha Tyler.
With like an Aisha Tyler type. But it's going to be Jared Padalecki.
It is. No, but
you've got the height for it.
I do. That's barely an exaggeration. Probably 90% of the roles. So yeah. But I booked stuff quick, and I didn't have time to really go like, oh shit, this is a big deal.
Right.
So,
and how long were you on Gilmore Girls?
I did 5 years. I did a deal where I was a series regular for like a year at a time, and then in season 5, I had a guest star. I wanted to kind of transition to movies, or so I thought. I didn't know.
But that's always your goal. Everybody's goal.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think. Though I certainly would never dog TV. I always do this. I get in front and I start sweating.
It's warm in here.
No, you know what? I just gotta. I'm a sweater. I'm gonna deal with it. Ask my wife. She will vouch. Also, apparently, I'm a snorer.
Is that a discovery?
Well,
Like
I
a
guess so,
new-
because you always kind of go like, no, I'm not.
Or do the thing where you go, it's just because I had a cold. It's not. I don't snore.
I kinda do have a cold.
snored last night.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, I'm not a snorer. It's just that what happened that one time. That's
didn't
all.
say it.
I don't normally snore.
Yeah.
What did you do to make me snore?
And I had a thing. I had a Sudafed.
yeah.
And now my body is antihistamine.
Yes.
All over
through your forehead.
I'm losing
If anybody
all
has any
sorts of
allergies,
water.
come just touch
Come
Jared's
here.
forehead.
I am
Apparently,
right here.
he's sweating antihistamine.
Wick it away. I hope these aren't one of a kind.
Yes, there's a
But you did say something before I went off.
I don't
on a
remember what it
crazy-
was. Oh, about
how long
you run Gilmore
Girls.
Girls,
Yes.
yeah.
So I did that for 5 years. And I had a deal. God, I don't remember. It's attacking you. I saw it.
It
See?
wants you. It wants you.
She's pissed.
A poster.
She's pissed.
That
was Afro all over you. Is
You know
what
what she's
that was.
mad? Because Jared Padalecki is playing her in a movie. She's pissed about it. Yeah,
And I'm growing it. It's gonna get there. I got.
We're just gonna give you some big prosthetic afro.
I did do 5 years. I was supposed to do more in season 5 than I ended up doing because I got a few movies. I got that was
House of Pain?
House of Wax.
House of Wax. I just thought
House of Pain of Wax.
Yes, House of Pain of Wax.
was the
Because you're a
original-
mid '90s hip hop artist. Sorry about that.
You don't have to qualify that. I understand House of Pain, but I unfortunately was not counting. But it was. I did Flight of the Phoenix and Cry Wolf and maybe.
So you were cranking. You were cranking in there. You were making a bunch of films. Yeah, that's great.
It was. Yeah, and I did New York Minute.
Oh,
It was my
a
skeleton.
classic.
Eat it. The classic.
Oh, the classic, the only classic.
Yeah, that is the
Olsen
only,
Twins.
That's
vintage.
right. That's right.
Their
Yeah, we've
best
said enough.
work.
We've said enough.
Yes.
So back to allergies.
He's hoping you don't ever Google it. He doesn't want you to know what it was.
That was certainly a learning experience.
Everybody has one. Did we talk about this on the last time that everybody has a movie like that? That you can't be in this business for any duration of time without having. I always say everyone has their legend.
Yeah.
Yes. Anybody remember the Tom
Now, what
Cruise movie?
are you dogging Legend?
I'm dog
front of
legend. That movie sucks.
Myself and a room
Bunghole.
full of.
It is so bad. It's so bad that when you're watching, you're like, I'm enjoying this because it's bad, but it doesn't make it good.
Yeah,
It's just bad.
But it's not. Yeah, but is it bad where you finish it, or is it bad where you go like, this is? I'm not going to finish it.
It's bad where if it's on cable, you turn it on, fall on the ground laughing, and then turn it off.
All right. All right.
It's
fair
Tom
enough.
Cruise in a loincloth, and then
Hey, you had me at loincloth. I mean, what's wrong with you?
It's so bad. So everybody has that movie, and I actually people always say like, did you know? Did you know that was going to be, good or bad? I mean, you know when something's going to be good. You don't always know when something's going to be bad.
It was a coin toss. I mean, we knew that they were, and I was also at that point in time where it was like, and Gilmore Girls, honestly, when I was on Gilmore Girls, no one knew.
Right.
Now they're like, oh, you were on Gilmore Girls.
was
Like,
kind
where
of-
were you like 10 years ago?
Right.
When I thought I was hot shit and no one knew. And I walk around like flipping my hair at the University City Walk.
Oh God.
You're laughing. That was a confession. No, I mean it. Like during the show, and then after the show, people were like, "Why aren't you on Gilmore Girls anymore?" I was like, "When did you start watching? Like, what's going on?" But it was kind of the sleeper,
Right.
And then it kind of afterwards, people were like, "Yeah, I love that show," and I was like, "I guess so," because it went and went and went and went. But it was that point in time where it was like with the Olsen twins. Obviously, had a big. Be quiet, Tom. That's my son. So it was at the time where they had a big following, and you understand, and I'm sure everybody can grasp the idea that the more people who give a shit about who you are, they'll forgive your indiscretions.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's almost like you wanted. The worst case scenario was the movie didn't do well, but anybody who did see it was like, "Hey, well, that guy didn't seem like a douche."
Right.
Or maybe he did.
That's
but
all we can hope for. Man,
yeah,
she doesn't seem like a douche.
That's right. That's my top line of my resume.
That's my goal.
Often doesn't seem like a douche.
Except for that time on Universal City Walk.
yes. That time, there's an S there. Those times. Yeah, so it was just one of those things, and I'm happy I did it.
Yeah,
I'm very happy
I just feel like also your entire, if you're lucky, you're building a body of work.
Sure.
You're building a body of work, and you're never gonna, no one bats 1,000. Nobody who's batting with a bat bats 1,000.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
So it's just like you want to stay competitive, you want to be working
Yeah.
all the time, and the more art you generate, the more likelihood you'll generate some great art along with some bad art too.
Sure. And it was, and it's as cheesy as it is, you do learn something. And
Yeah.
I remember I learned a few things that I'll never forget. Mary Kate Olsen and Ashley Olsen work their fucking asses off.
Yeah, I believe
Pardon
it.
my French. They are.
Oh, but you know this show. You haven't cursed enough today, Jared.
I know. Touche. Bullshit. No.
Yay!
So, but they. I think I got a hip hip hooray.
You did.
They
Cheerio.
literally. I mean, they were not yet 18, and they literally were morning, noon, and night casting, wardrobing, looking at this and that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this really isn't an accident. Like these people, it was something to learn, because you see it and you're like, oh, these cute girls, they got all this money, and like, what have they ever done? And then you get to set, and they've been up since 4, because they're producing it also, and you're like, oh wow, these girls are working their tails off.
Yeah.
And number 2 was that I never wanted to be that famous.
Really?
I mean it.
Wow.
Like we shot in Times Square in Manhattan. I remember people were walking by just saying the most derogatory, like, hey, Mary Kate, like, and you're like, these are 17-year-old girls. I remember looking around, and people just do it. And half the people probably got done doing it, and they're like, well, I don't know why I even did that.
Right, why did I,
People say mean shit. Like, kids say mean shit, and people do mean things. People go like, oh, that's a famous person. Hey, fuck you.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
I didn't
why?
even do that.
Why did I do, who am I?
Yeah, so half of them didn't even mean it, but here you are, and you're like in Times Square, and if you're one of the twins, you're like, what did they ever, they just worked.
Right,
They were just doing something, and I was like, man, I hope I never.
They didn't even ever invite that kind of scrutiny, and I mean, they were child actors.
They were child,
but they weren't like on the scene really. They weren't like out every night raging.
Nor
and,
would they, in my opinion, have really the mental capacity yet, due to their
17,
age, to understand what this was going to mean in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. I mean, what are you going to tell a 12-year-old? Like, sure, you can be famous, but it's going to cost you. And like, I can be famous, okay?
Right,
what do I do? So
it
was. I learned 2 huge lessons, which I'll carry to the grave with me.
Do you remember that there was this? I remember this specifically. There was an Olsen Twins countdown clock. Does anybody remember that? Yeah. Which, yes, I remember.
You owned that. He's like, yeah. I still got it. I still got it.
Yeah.
I gotta respect. I respect the ownership of that.
Yes.
I expected a bunch of guys like, no.
Never
countdown. He's like, yeah, I got it.
And it literally
I'll be back
counted,
in 5 minutes. I got mine at the hotel.
Yeah, it counted down to the time that they turned 18.
Counting past.
As if they were immediately going to materialize in front. Woo! Who wants that?
Something gone wild.
Right? No. So, and then we talked about this before, but I feel like I'm foggy on the time between. I feel like I remember you said that you went very quickly from Gilmore to Supernatural.
I went. That was not English. I believe I went immediately. It might have been 1 year. It might have been I finished season. No, okay. So I finished season 5 of Gilmore Girls, and then what would have been season 6 of Gilmore Girls was the pilot of.
The pilot of Supernatural?
I am
foggy. I'm foggy too. I'm glad I'm foggy. I thought it was just me.
You know what? If we started the show in I hate to interrupt. If I started the show in fall, oh my God, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, their zombies were running by. And let me tell you something, the most geriatric zombies just limp by. They were like 70.
Listen, my heart's going. I don't.
The greatest thing
zombies
about
don't need to be young, Aisha.
No,
I don't know what kind of zombie movies you're watching.
I just want hot zombies. I don't want any. No, but that's what I think about Comic-Con. There's zombies everywhere.
Yeah, there are. Those are not hot zombies. I won't distract you again.
No, I'm happy to be distracted. This is your hour, Jared. This is your hour. Have you like literally in the hotel, like you're getting in the elevator and then it's just a zombie like in the corner?
We haven't seen that yet. We've seen that a lot downtown, and I love it.
I love it
think
here.
It's amazing.
I love it here.
Yeah, I think
those
it's really
people
awesome.
just look like zombies. They're not actually zombies.
A little hotter though.
Definitely plumper and more healthy.
But that guy had a good sort of like.
He was working it. He was actually doing the gate, the zombie gate.
I think he was a dancer. Yeah. He had good movement. No, so I believe we started Supernatural, the season 1 in August of 2005. That's obligatory. I'm just kidding. No, August of 2005 we started Supernatural, so I think February of 2005 we did the pilot, which I believe that was season 5 of Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, so you did the pilot while you were still on Gilmore Girls, and then it went in the fall.
Yes, that's it. That was the deal I had. I could go. I was free for another pilot. It all becomes, you understand, it all becomes a part of
your deal. Like, we'll give you out this, we won't give you that, blah, 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 blah.
And Warner Brothers didn't want to bone themselves by hiring me out to do a show that was going to conflict with the show they already had on the air, but they also didn't want to hurt a possible show.
Right.
And Jensen was on Smallville.
Right.
Yes, that's exactly.
So you were both on WB shows, and then you went and did a pilot for a new WB show together.
And he was behind the scenes for Jensen, just if it's interesting. He actually had a 2-year contract for Smallville, but they liked he and I so much that they made him kill himself or get killed or something.
Really?
Yeah, if you knew
Anybody watch Smallville?
Yeah, that's it. So, and he was supposed to be on it for
Nerd
another
up.
year. Yeah, nerd up.
This is your opportunity to level up. What happened?
Got it. Yeah.
A meteor coming just hit Jensen.
Sucks.
The whole town was spared. Jensen smashed. Oh, okay. He was the only one that died in the house. Everybody else got out. So it just hit Jensen. Oh
I'm actually laughing at Aisha because we have not with this time we have conversations every now and again. We do like a funny voice of people who write in fake like complaint letters to Supernatural because we'll do a scene where they're like the water's in my hand. I'm talking to Dean about like killing a zombie or something, and then the next time we do the take, I put my hands down. They're like, listen, for that one line you weren't touching the glass. And I was like, dear Supernatural, I can believe in Lucifer and this and that. And I know they died and came back, but it seemed like Sam had the water in one hand. So I won't be watching the show anymore. So Aisha's like, wait, a meteor just killed one guy? Oh, that show's bullshit. We all know Superman can fly, but a meteor kills one guy?
What the fuck, man? I can't watch this bullshit.
I'm out of here.
I'm flipping the table.
Pull with your neck. Pull with your neck.
Table weighs 1,000 pounds. I can't flip it over.
Sturdy. I couldn't even.
Let me just give you a little bit of background on that specific thing, which is that when I was on Ghost Whisperer and they were going to kill me, the way that they killed me was a 747 crashed in my town and just smashed me. So this is
I find that hard to believe.
This is just a little bit of a moment. What's that? It could happen. A giant plane crashes and just smashes my Mini Cooper, and everybody else in the town is spared.
That seems logical.
So I understand.
I mean, it goes along with the vein of the show of just pure reality.
Pure reality, totally reality. Talking to ghosts.
Can't argue that.
Buxom lady talking to ghosts. So, so they killed him off, and they put you guys together.
Yeah, I remember vividly. Usually, when you test for a pilot, you go in and there are like 5 dudes and 6 girls and this and that. And there are all these options for who you're going to be. And then we met at the test for Supernatural. And we went in there and we both assumed we'd get there. And classically, and I have a bunch of buddies that I still run up that are now really successful actors that I still run up into. And like we knew each other from the audition circuit. And Jensen and I got there. And we're sitting and waiting, and let's say our time is...
Can you get them to talk less loudly in there and also not drop loud shit on the ground? And also, is he building something or throwing marbles? What is happening right now? Sorry. I couldn't take it anymore.
Drop quiet shit.
Just drop some sponges or kittens.
Sponge fights.
Dropped
Pillow
gravel.
fights and tickle wars.
Exactly.
So we got there, and it was literally he and I, and that was it. And we were like...
What? That was the test?
That was everybody. That was everybody. And we walk in, and usually you go, you meet, they put you with Jensen, and then you with this, and you with that, and Jensen with this, and you're there for 5 hours.
And it's also the most nerve-wracking time of your entire life. If Jared is sweating now...
I am.
I mean, seriously. That was like literally...
Projectile.
Yes, like like fluid running down your sides. Yeah, like a waterfall.
I don't when I sweat, it goes like this.
Sweaty.
It does this. It holds itself in here. And
just moves forward like melted Terminator
thing.
2000, just liquid flowing out. So yeah, it's so nerve-wracking normally.
So nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But we met each other. We went in. It was all, and literally it's the heads of Warner Brothers, the heads of, well, that time it was Warner Brothers because Warner Brothers Studio, Warner Brothers Network. Mm-hmm. Now it would be Warner Brothers NCW, but it's all the uber bosses. And you're like, like these are all the people who started ER and Friends and West Wing and Peter Roth is there. And you're like,
Peter Roth is there. Peter Roth is like,
he's amazing.
He's like Al Pacino.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's awesome.
Great.
And so we got there and we went and we read. And usually you don't hear about it for a day or something, but we went and we read and then we left. And then they were like, will you come back in, please? We're like, who?
Oh, God, I feel so afraid.
I know. And we walked in, and all the people were sitting there, and probably this many people, like probably as many as you guys. And Jensen and I sit there, and they all stood up, started clapping. And they were like, "You got yourselves a TV show."
Oh,
like, what?
wow.
It was amazing. I get chills thinking about it. It was amazing. And we were like, cool, like we're going to do a pilot. Like no one thought it was going to be now 175. Again.
God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Every single year, you've never thought it was going to be 175. Now, the last couple seasons, maybe more, but yeah.
Now we've had this amazing show. Thank God for social networking and the internet, because it's helped. I think our studio realize, like, wow, there are really people watching the show. Because we started in 2005. There was internet, obviously, but it wasn't such an active part of movie and filmmaking and TV making. And so now it's easier for them to understand and grasp that we have a big international audience.
Yeah, a global audience, not just domestic. Yeah,
but we're kind of a big deal.
You kind of are. Do you want to go with me to Universal City Walk?
Only if I can put my head. No, now it's a total. Now it's like, is it Bruno? Now it's like. Now I don't do the hair thing anymore. I walk around going, no pictures, no pictures. People are like, who's that guy? Why is he punching everybody? No pictures. Like, I wasn't taking a picture
Nobody wants a picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are you?
Exactly, run through.
Tell me about what it was like that first year, because I feel like I came to the show kind of mid-run, and I think maybe season 4 and season 5, and I feel like now when I see, like, every once in a while I'm on the road, and there'll be like a supernatural marathon.
Sweet.
And I'll be like, oh my God, a fucking jackpot! Right? I literally feel that way because I watch.
What if it was Legend also?
Oh, I would fucking punch my TV. Don't want to watch Legend. But it's always, nothing come on Law and Order and, like, Rizzolian Isles.
Yeah.
So whenever there's a supernatural marathon, I get super excited. But it's never chronological. They always jump around. They'll do season 9, season 1. Right. The show is so different now. And any show evolves, but I feel like tonally the show is really different than it was in season 1.
Yeah. I remember we had a big, when we started, the first episode we ever had about an angel or a demon was, I think season 2, and it was called Angels or Houses of the Holy. And Jensen and I will say this, we work really hard. And we're very happy to be employed. We're very lucky. We love our show. We love our showrunners. That was the first time I can ever remember going like, dude, we're calling him. And he was like, absolutely. And so we go into the main, we call it the fish tank in Vancouver because the room is shaped like a fishbowl. And that's kind of like where all the important stuff goes down.
That's just Canadians like round rooms. Oh, yeah. They're weird. And
you can say A after it.
Exactly.
So we went to the fishbowl A, and we sat down, and we called, and we kind of bitched out Kripke.
Really?
We were like, dude, and we didn't have, he was like, yeah, somebody cares. No, he listened, but we were like, listen, man, we don't, and it's not, it had nothing to do with our religious preferences, but we were like, listen, we don't want to make a show about religion. Like, this is not who we are. This is not what we signed out for. Like, I don't want to make a pro or anti-religious statement. I want this to be universal. This is about two guys, not two Christians, not two Muslims, not two anything, not two atheists.
Right.
Leave it to your imagination.
Right.
I don't want to set in stone like what these guys think of this.
What they believe. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so they kind of muted it out a little bit, but then it just worked, and then it just happened to kind of, and then funny enough, maybe because I married my co-star, but it became my favorite part of Supernatural, like the angels and the demons. I was like, this is so fun, and it became more kind of accidentally, we ended up being more about the archetypes and the mythology that we had set out to do.
Right.
With like the good versus evil, and the friendly beast, and like stuff that you learn from the Lion King and the Natural, and Joseph Campbell, and and it just became a very cool story.
So let's unpack that a little bit. So season 1 was mainly about you guys being hunters.
Season 1, the idea was kind of a serial TV show about Ghost of the Week. Bloody Mary, stuff we all know about, the Hook Man.
Right, almost urban legends a little bit. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. We really set out, that was urban legend time. And then also by design of a TV show, you don't know what's going to work. I think if we started out season 1 like, hey, here's some angels and demons, and just trust that when an angel does this, they explode like a demon. Like, people go like, oh, this is stupid.
Right.
But by trial and error, by doing episodes, and like, well, that didn't really work, but this worked.
Right.
Like, let's kind of, and Sam and Dean change a little bit, and you're kind of like,
there's people staring in the window, and randoms. Hello, randoms.
I thought they were zombies.
Yeah. She needs to redo her makeup.
But
she looks beautiful. She looks beautiful. Like, he thought you were a zombie. I would glue off the eyeliner. No, she looked fine. No, she looked fine.
But we kind of luckily, and also because we weren't such a huge success off the bat, we had a chance to kind of fuck up.
Right, exactly.
Again. So I was like, oh, that did not work, Tom. That did not work, do something else. And people forgave us. Our fans were like, oh, cool, yeah, good, that didn't work.
Once they bought you. Because I always feel like the show is two things. You know, I mean, obviously there's all this kind of mythological stuff and the supernatural stuff around the show. Yeah. But the thing that drew me in and the thing that I love is it's about the relationship between these two brothers.
Yeah.
And I feel like once you love that relationship and you buy that relationship, then the rest of the stuff around them, it's not dismissible or academic, but it's like, first of all, you're invested more because the stakes are higher for you because you care about the brothers.
Sure.
But then you're willing to buy everything else that's happening because you just want these guys to win.
Absolutely.
So in that's the other thing. So, and because I haven't seen every single episode, like in the early years of the show.
I haven't seen every single episode. I swear to God, on my life. I'm alive. I still haven't seen the majority of last
Well,
season.
you did them, so you don't need to like go
back.
Last season was awesome, by the way.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
People have been really nice about it.
It was great.
That's cool. Thank you.
In the beginning, when was the moment? Because I also feel like one thing I really enjoy about the show is the mythology around these brothers and that they're chosen and that they have this kind of place, not maybe in a grand plan, but a lot of things that have happened and lives have been predicted or fated. Was that a part of that first year?
No.
Okay.
No, not really.
When did that start to happen where all of a sudden everybody knows who Sam and Dean Winchester are and like fucking people in trench coats go, ooh, the Winchesters. Every time you go somewhere, well, here are the Winchesters. I've heard about you. Everywhere, no matter where the fuck you are.
That just started.
That was good.
That
was a perfect.
That was amazing.
Perfect impression of a character. That's ooh, the Winchesters. Well, my stars.
No, I want to say that was probably right about season 4. I think we really started to tell that story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once we had kind of like, I think Dean had died, and I had died, and we had come back, and then we had stopped the apocalypse and killed the Dean. It was like, you know what? We've already
killed the
broken
devil.
all the walls. We've killed the devil. We've done so much stuff. Like, let's just go ahead and make a cool show about whatever. And I think they really I think about season 4, they really started focusing on the brothers. And I remember when Sam and Ruby had their number, it was not about Sam and Ruby. It was kind of about Sam and Dean and the cataclysm. And kind of this ravine that couldn't be bridged, and it became it really heightened the drama between Sam and Dean.
Right.
And it was like, well, you're choosing, like, we've been there for each other, we've killed for each other, we've died for each other.
Right.
And now you're with some chick. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You don't trust me. Like, and I think one of the great things about this show, and people make of it what they will, but you don't have to be a chosen one. It's not about like, well, if you're a chosen one, you got a cool life. But it's about having somebody you can trust and go through this life with.
Right.
And having somebody where you're like, fuck, maybe I'm out of bounds, but I'm going to put my trust in you. Whether it's a husband or a best friend or a wife or a dog or whatever it is, whoever, a book, a writer you love. I'm going to trust that my time spent with you is going to benefit both of us.
But there's also something I think most people can relate to in the idea of like just life changing, right? Because you guys you're brothers, and the moment where like you're always constantly having to choose between like being people and being Winchester. So that's like a constant decision. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I'm going to steal that.
Yes. Feel free to use that in your panel on Sunday. I'll be listening. Like, you know, just the idea that like, do I get to be a real person and be in love and like have a life and, you know, not be constantly chopping the heads off of things all day long.
All day long.
All day long and strong, all day long. And loving my brother. Because sometimes I watch and like, you guys are fighting about what a girl or each other. I'm like, you know, and I'm going to use a really terrible term, but you're always having this bros before hoes conversation. It's like
it's not a terrible term.
Well, whatever. I shouldn't be using the word host, but it just rhymes so nicely with bros. But sometimes when I'm watching, I'm like, well, they just can't be, unless they're going to start fucking, they can't be together forever. Like, when is one of them going to get a girlfriend? You'll
be really happy with this season then.
Yeah! Winch back seat in the Charger. I can't wait. Oh my God, I would totally watch that.
I think I just got fired.
I'm pitching that. I'm going to call somebody on the phone.
Well, I think one of the things, in all fairness, and that is true, in the bros before, I think the idea of bros before hoes or bros before cousins or whatever bros before that rhymes with it.
There's no
bros
other
before
word.
Joes, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's literally that idea of just having someone or something that has your back.
Right.
And it's universal. It doesn't have to be that then you go home and sleep with. You know,
right.
Like, then,
just someone who loves you deeply and like in spite of your flaws. And
it doesn't have to be a person. It doesn't have to be tangible. Just
right.
something that you can share this life with, you know? And so we will not be in any back seats and anywhere.
I'm making all those pictures in my head right now. No, I'm not.
I'm sure you can find them on the internet.
I'm sure I can.
Yeah.
I feel like actually, were we either talking or did someone show up at your panel? You get like a lot of fan art.
Yeah,
I think there's a good amount of like really lovely homoerotic fan art on the web with Supernatural guys.
Jensen,
yes.
I don't have it because we ended up gluing it to the back of our bodyguard's phone. But there's a phone case that Jensen bought of Sam and Dean in a compromising position. He did it as a joke. It was my birthday yesterday. He did it as a birthday present for me this week. He put it on the back of the phone and was like, "Hey man, someone texted you." I'm like, "This isn't my phone, dude." I'm trying to get it off. Make it go away. Make it go away.
It's glued on there.
Well, no, we didn't glue it yet. It was just really like tight fit.
Right.
We glued it on the back of Cliffy, if you know who Cliff is. We glued it on the back of his phone.
Awesome. That's so funny.
He's gonna kill us both. That's all right.
But so now, I mean, the other thing I told you this in the last show that I really like about the show is that I feel like there are honestly, truly very few television shows or even like creative projects about the interior life between men. Do you know what I mean? Wow. Like, there are a lot of shows that are aimed at guys, but it feels very surfacey. But what I love about Supernatural is it's about the interior of a relationship between two men. And it's really, that's why I love it. I mean, you know, the monsters are fun, but I love the struggles that you guys go through, trying to maintain a friendship, trying to maintain a relationship as brothers, and really fighting for your relationship.
That's cool. I never even thought about that. I God's honest truth, I'm not great at being up to date with
what you do television. At work.
Well, yeah. Well, yes. Wait, what?
Wait, what? What are we doing?
No, I mean like just even the vagaries of like the television industry in general. I'll catch up someday. I think when Supernatural ends, Jen and I will sit down and just watch every television show that is on our list.
Right.
But in the interim, I think that's great. And there's some reason. It's not because Jensen and I are amazing or anything. There's some reason the show's gone 9 years, and it has to be that. It has
I
to
love
be
that about the show.
that in, and it must be about two just guys who are trying to do the right thing. And I also love, and I think, and what's funny is that Warner Brothers. There used to be a lot of jokes about Warner Brothers and people who are on Warner Brothers television shows. And it was all about like, well, there's going to be some dude with his shirt off every episode. Someone's going to be sleeping with somebody. It was all about kind of like sex.
Yeah.
And like the teenagey, angsty version of like Dawson and like Gilmore and like, hey man, weird. And we were like,
One Tree Hill.
Yeah. And we were really excited. I have so many close friends who were on that show, but we were really excited to not have that show. And I think, once again, 175 episodes. I think I've read 180 episodes. I think Sam's had sex 5 times.
God, that's a bummer.
5 times in one night. You didn't let me finish. I'm just kidding. No.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's
no,
not.
But we loved it because
show,
it's universal. It's not about like, oh, sweet, how we get to like look at some dudes, which I'm sure, obviously.
There's other shows that do that well. I mean, that's what's great about the show is that's not what it is.
And it hasn't. I
feel like in one shirtless scene in the whole show that I've seen, and you were an asshole in it. Do you remember that? You had just come back from hell and you were turning into Naughty Sam. Yeah,
right.
Naughty
I was the prostitute.
Sam. Yeah, you were sleeping with a whore. You were sleeping with a whore and doing pull-ups on like a roof pipe. Yeah. You always know he's a bad guy when he's doing pull-ups on a fucking roof pipe, right? Like, that guy's a dick.
If it's one of those door things, it's fine.
Right.
Things that
ceiling pipe, asshole.
Roof pipe, punk. Probably soulless. That was funny. They wanted me to do like when you this sounds so stupid. When you do like God,
tell it. It's too late for you now.
All right.
Your foot is
in. Let there be a precursor that I know how douchey this sounds coming out of my mouth, but just from this side of the industry where they want you to like work out and take care of yourself. This is the kind of mindless, stupid shit that actors talk about. This is so embarrassing.
I can't wait.
When you do a sit-up, I mean, unless you have like negative 10% body fat, when you do a sit-up, your skin, I mean, you can
just rolls. It gets just
you can be Michael Phelps, and it just kind of doesn't look good. And they were like, and it was written in the script, like Sam doing sit-ups. And I was like, listen, assholes, I'm not doing sit-ups in front of a camera with my shirt off. Because, A, I'm not that skinny. B, no one's that skinny. Like, I'm gonna like just help me do something. And they were like, well, he's soulless. Maybe he's working out. And I was like, sweet, roof pipe, let me be an asshole.
Yes! Tell you what indicates an asshole.
Yeah. And then Misha that day, Misha was like, I forget what was going on. And Misha totally knew what we were shooting, but I forget what it was. Oh, I think I had them paint muscles on me or something. Anyways, he walked in and he was
awesome.
totally messing with me, and he was like, "Why are you getting like muscles painted on?" He's like, "Wait, is that scene today?" Oh, dude, you're fucked. He's
my
like,
God.
maybe you can ask him to push it a couple weeks, and you can work out really hard. Yes, really. And stone faced, like,
Right. Oh, yeah,
like
he's
stone-faced,
icy.
Man, maybe they can push it a couple weeks. Like, maybe it's not.
Like, here's what I suggest. I want to help you here. Let me help you. Like, you're not helping
He's
me.
like, listen, man, I get my paycheck from the show too. I don't want to get canceled. Like,
Oh, what I
maybe one of the guys from Vampire Diaries can do their shirtless scene for you. No, I love them, they're remarkably handsome.
They're
And
super nice.
We ran
And
into
Paul Wesley hasn't eaten a sandwich since like 2001.
Are you kidding?
So
He hasn't said the
skinny.
word sandwich. We just ran into him last night. There was a CW party, and I ran into him, and I was like, "Man, those are good-looking dudes." Ian and
It's a
Paul,
good-looking show.
It's a
Yeah.
good-looking show. Yeah,
Super hungry, but
yeah.
good
We
looking
love
show. So hungry.
roll a cupcake down the set. And they're like,
And then no one eats a cupcake. It just got destroyed right there. Oh, we broke it.
the sprinkles. But no, I've known Ian and Paul for a long time. Actually, I did a pilot with Ian, season 2 or 3 of Gilmore Girls. I did a pilot, and he was in it. And then I knew Paul just way back when. Paul was one of the guys that, like, when I made this kind of metaphor about running into everybody at audition rooms, Paul and I were at
Like every
goddamn audition together for years. And
You end up making these like odd friends with people that you're constantly in
Like,
competition
I hope you
with.
fail.
I really try. Make your face seem like you feel.
Yeah.
So you see, like, I'm not a really competitive person, but it's just hard. You're stressed out. You're anxious.
Oh, it's
you're nervous.
horrible. It's
and
horrible.
The worst is when you see someone either in the lobby or on the sign-up sheet. You're like, oh, this bitch is gonna get it.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, I'm not even gonna go in. Fucking
I've
Halle
heard
Berry was
stories-
here. Why am I here?
This is not bullshit. I've heard stories, and it's been corroborated that people would go into an audition and write like Jake Gyllenhaal or something at the top when Jake Gyllenhaal wasn't there, just to fuck with everybody else that was coming afterwards. So
I would totally have
like if
done
I go in and
that.
like, oh guys, looks like Ryan Gosling was here an hour ago. We should just go home.
Right, right, guys, let's leave and then just go back in.
I mean, that is mind numbing. You feel. God, it's the worst.
Hate you literally if you want to feel like the most amount of self-hate you can.
And if you want to hate yourself then afterwards for like hating other people
Yes.
that haven't done anything
They haven't
to
done
you.
anything to you. You're not intentionally feeling these feelings. This is not who you are. But you just come in, your tummy hurts. You feel like you have to puke.
Oh yeah,
You know,
haven't eaten a sandwich.
Gabby Union was here. I don't want to go in. I don't need her.
She was in the pilot with me
she's
and
so
Ian.
pretty.
Yeah, Gabrielle,
Yeah.
she is. She's
She's
stunning.
a beautiful girl. Yeah, and you see
she-
these people all the time. Here's the other things you can hug. Really, you look good.
Yeah, you look good. Is that really what you're going to wear for the audition? Oh my god.
It's good to see you. Good luck. Good luck. I think you're going to be awesome.
Oh god. And then when you could hear the auditioners through the door.
Hear them laughing when you hear them laughing.
Oh, man.
And they're like, oh, they're killing it in
I
there.
had an audition on my life. I'm sitting there and it was for a Mandy Moore movie. I don't remember which one it was. This is way back in the day.
She doesn't remember either.
Should I? No, she wasn't because
I
she
have
was
been drinking.
because she was not there. But I was in the audition and I'm reading and you're me and I'm the casting director and we're going and then a phone starts ringing over there and she kind of like and I'm in the middle of the scene and I kind of give her a look like are we gonna stop like what and I kind of give her a look and she's like no and she does this gets up goes to the phone goes I'm in an audition. No, why would you ever think that? I'm in an audition, I'll call you back. Audition ended, and she's like, thank you very much.
God.
And I walked out, and I was like, I cannot believe that just happened.
Did you have a conversation in your head about what you feel like you should have said to this person after this happened?
Oh, yeah, but it was all speaking with my fist.
Yeah.
No, and she was, and she was like, and you feel so, it feels like you're.
It makes you feel like shit.
And you feel like you're in customs or something. Like, you can't say, like, you know what? Go to hell. Like, that's so, you can't do it because they're like, go to hell, huh? Well,
Right.
there goes your resume.
Oh yeah. Not only that, but like I'll never bring you in again. I'll tell people you were
Absolutely.
difficult. I'll call your agents and tell them you were difficult.
Yeah, it feels
like
when you're traveling.
they'll burn you.
You can't do anything. You're just like vulnerable.
I
And
had
they're
a
like,
lady-
oh, your bag we're gonna run through another 15 times.
Right, or maybe not at all.
Okay, do whatever you want.
We're gonna have to do a cavity search.
Yeah. It works.
I'm telling you, I've had someone answer a phone during an audition.
Oh my
I had
God.
someone eat through an entire audition, and I had another lady eating cereal, and like
Slurpee? Was she a slurper?
she was like open mouth chewing and spitting it at me, and she was going, "Be sexier." I mean, this is a sexy role, and it was just like fucking marshmallow.
Oh, marshmallow cereal, no
Always
less.
after me Lucky Charms.
It wasn't.
It was so awful. And you can't be like, well, I'm leaving. I'm done.
Was this in Ireland? Where were you having this audition?
I was on the Fox
Very
lot.
sexy.
Very sexy.
Yeah, that's horrific.
It's awful.
They don't surprise me. The auditions, I do not miss the auditions. I hate them, and I've done auditions recently. Luckily, the greatest thing about being on television, well, there are many great things, but one of the best things is not having to get back to the audition world. It is just
It's like being married. Like, you love being married, but any family...
No, what do you... I only love everything about being married.
You love being married. And you love being married 100%, and then the 1% of you that ever thinks, like, what would it be like to be single, thinks, I don't ever want to fucking date again. Yeah. Like, I'll have to wake up with your hands around my throat before I leave this relationship, because I look at my friends and I'm like, ugh, yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, that world. Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah,
I couldn't go through. I would just be celibate.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Touche.
I'd masturbate a lot, but
we saw some bonobos doing just that.
oh my God, at the zoo. You took your baby boy Tom to the zoo.
We did, and I was that guy who was like, is that a tail wagging? This was 24 hours ago, and Jasmine, the amazing ape wrangler, what would you call her? She's like the primate specialist.
We had a long conversation about the clitoris.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So you thought it was a tail, and then you thought it was a penis, and it was a clitoris? My God, they must be super happy, bonobos.
Yeah.
A clitoris the size of a penis? Can always find it.
No, it's not difficult. We were 30 feet away. I could smell it.
Jared wins all of the Girl on Guy podcasts ever. He won. He just won. He wins Girl on Guy,
Here's
period.
Here's Jared.
Period. Jared won it. Jared, I've had like a little gold cup.
Yeah,
You win. You win Girl on Guy. I want to ask you one or two more questions.
Yeah.
And then we'll do, you have a new self-inflicted wound, you said. You have a new one.
It's not new, but I finally realized, I'm reading your book.
Thank
it's
you.
great. Yeah.
Oh my God.
God, you're
No
a lot
way.
smarter than I ever realized.
It's all a lie.
Should I say more intelligent?
Thank you.
No, but I realized that a self-inflicted wound. I think I was so caught off guard last year. I was like, and I was like, well, like you wave to somebody and they wave and die. Like I didn't, but I didn't realize that it could be a self-inflicted wound with an ultimate happy.
Something you learn from.
Yeah, something you learn from.
I want to say in your defense before we jump back and then jump back that your SIW was a
epic
very
fails.
Epic fails. Yeah, it was very good right there.
Really
I mean it. I mean it.
You changed the words on me.
I did. But your self-inflicted wound was a great one, and I loved it, and I thought it was perfect because it was that he was like at a resort, like an all-inclusive resort, where you got super drunk, and then and your friend your brother or somebody had to put you back in bed.
Yeah, my brother's the doctor.
But then you had to stay at the resort, and the whole week I was like, that guy.
That's
so
right.
That was a good one, I thought.
That was good.
Yeah, go back and listen, people who are not here in the room, and also people in the room, to that episode because I thought it was a good SIW. It was a very good SIW.
Yeah.
So two more things about Supernatural. What I think we'll do is we'll do a baby Q&A, and then we'll do your SIW.
Sweet.
That I feel like what's interesting. I wonder if in the last, like, say, 3 seasons, if you guys have ever, because I feel actually there's a really great season creatively this past season, and I feel like if you guys in a great place for this season coming up.
Yes.
But what I'm curious about, and this is not a criticism, but a legitimate question, when you do a show for 9 seasons, was there a point in there, let's say between 5 and now, where you ever felt like you guys had run out of road?
Yes. Do I need to? Yes. Are there?
Yes. I'm curious about that.
Yeah. I tell you what. When I never thought I'd be the guy who said something like, I tell you what. I tell you what. It's like, what did Seth MacFarlane just tweeted something? Like, I want to be the kind of dad who says, no, I'll have no more on the subject. No, I'll have no more on the subject. But honest to God, so Kripke, who I adore, he had this 5-year arc in his head. Mm-hmm. And he is, to his credit, is so brilliant that it was such a nice package that after season 5, it was really difficult. And is that when Sarah hopped on for 6 and 7? Yes. So Sarah Gamble took over the reins in 6, and it was, it was it must have been an insurmountable task. You know, it must have been like, because
he had done everything. His plan was played out.
He had wrapped up this storyline, which could have worked one of 2 ways. Great, do something new, or like, oh my God, like we've told what do we do? Mm-hmm. And there was kind of a reboot period. It was kind of, we call it our rebuilding years. Like you say with a football team, like, well, Favre retired. Now we got to get a young quarterback and start
Right.
building up. I don't know what the Cowboys are doing. Tony, don't get me started.
I hate the Cowboys, so I don't care
I'm
what they're
about
doing.
to.
Yeah, let's hate them together.
Yeah, sorry.
I hate every team that's hired Terrell Owens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, everywhere he goes, fuck that team. Yeah.
Because you're a Bay girl. So
Yeah, and he came to the Niners and he took a big shit in the middle of fucking 49ers, and I don't hate them because I grew up with them, but I feel very angry.
And then he danced on the star, and George Teague, the cowboy, had to go knock him off the star.
Yeah, he's a douche.
Yeah, and then he got in, and he is. Have you ever met him?
No.
He's like a
I made
minimum
so
mid.
much fun of him on NFL.com.
Really?
Like I did Rich Eisen's show, and I was like, "That's my quarterback." And if I ever meet him, he's gonna probably kill me. So yeah,
no,
that's my quarterback right there. Ridiculous.
amazing. I know the
It's good,
interview.
right? I'm a good impressionist.
Uncanny.
I know.
That was-
It's like amazing, uncanny.
T.O.? Oh, God, it's Aisha.
Oh my god,
Jesus.
she's masculine enough.
Oh, my God. Yeah, well, he's, my point is that he's a specimen. He is all, like, sinew and muscles and just a big, handsome
He's very
athlete.
handsome. Yes, he's very handsome.
And so to see him on the field, and he's one of the biggest wide receivers, and to see him go like for a pass and go, I'm going to get hit. You're like, you're 80
wrong
pounds
with
bigger
you,
than
young
some of the,
lady?
Like, like, what
Yeah,
are you doing?
get in there.
You got how many $1 million to catch a ball? You're
Right.
gonna get hit.
You
You're
don't
in the
want
NFL.
Exactly. My face. Don't have my face.
I'm a total like armchair quarterback. Is that what you call it?
Oh, yes.
Like, I would have caught that. Like, you got arms. I mean, I could never. I'd be looking around the whole time, scared. But you see guys like Wes Welker who are getting flipped on the field and holding on to the ball.
Right.
And he's 5'10".
Right,
and
exactly.
170
Like a
pounds.
peanut, yeah.
T.O.'s like 225, 6'2".
Right.
He's a specimen.
Like, get in there.
Like, take a shot.
He's worried about his MTV show.
I know.
Which is
I know.
already gone,
And
so
his
bye-bye.
FACE, which is pretty handsome, so he
Right.
doesn't want to get knocked out. Anyways, that having been said, I forgot what I was saying.
So Supernatural was in a rebuilding
so season
phase.
6 and 7. No. Duh.
Season 6 and 7.
I mean, that's
you hired T.O. and
non sequitur. We
you
hired
ruined the
T.O.
show.
We had just lost him. He had just gone from, and he was great back in. Anyways, and so 6 and 7 were difficult because we had to kind of recreate what we had already created and then recreated.
Right, right. Yeah, and also people are in love with all these elements of the show, and you're always stuck in a hard place between not getting rid of things that people love about your show.
Paying homage to what's happened and not.
So attach to these elements,
Right.
but also making the show fresh.
Yeah.
I mean, like, killing Bobby was like it had to be done. It had to be done. I miss him so much, but it had to be done.
I know it had to be done.
It had to be done
because it made for. And we had a meeting with Mark Padalecki.
I'm sorry if that was a spoiler alert. It happened like 1,000,000 years ago. 1,000,000 years. Look at your face. You look just like T.O. But it was so sad.
We had, and I will say this. Sam Winchester has died, so it is supernatural. They're always still.
Yeah, but when Sam and Dean
But
die,
hope
we
can
know
kill
they're
you.
coming back.
What do you mean?
Oh my God!
No,
Like
I know.
every time, what do you guys do? I'm like, oh, we'll see that motherfucker in 45 minutes.
That's true. It did have to happen, and we had a great meeting with Mark Pedowitz, who's the head of CW, who we love.
He's
and who's
lovely.
He's lovely and a huge show of Supernatural, a huge fan of Supernatural. And he was like, I hate to see Bobby go, but it's great television, and it was. And Jensen and I watched it in his trailer while shooting, and we teared up, got a little dusty.
It was sad.
It really, and we were like, oh my God, like we were here for that episode. What's going on?
Right, you shot it and you still were.
Oh
yeah.
man, they knock on the door like, ready for you guys. Oh, we're okay, we're working out. We're doing some weights and shit.
Manly stuff.
Looking at chicks.
Right? I'm doing pull-ups on a roof pipe.
Why are our shirts off? What do you mean?
Do you feel like there was a moment in that period where what was the turn for you guys where you felt like, okay, we've got our hands back around this creatively?
Last year.
Really?
I really felt that.
Wow.
I really feel that way. Season 7 and 6 were difficult because they were such a rebuilding year. And I was proud of some of my favorite episodes were in that time. And we had some really funny episodes. We had like the French Mistake where we made fun of ourselves. And,
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, there was some
Yeah.
funny stuff that we had so much fun, but it was difficult to re-find our footing. And it was through no lack of talent or hard work on anybody's part. Like the writers, Sarah's amazing, and she just had so much on her plate, and she did a great job with it. And it took us to season 6, 7, and got us picked up for 8. But I told him this last night when I saw him. I am so thrilled, and it's hard to take my bias out of it. I am so thrilled with what Carver's doing with the show, Jeremy Carver. He has just come in and like had some cool stuff, and and when we had meetings at the beginning of each season, he's like, "Okay, here's what's going on with Sam this year." I'm like, I'm like drooling. I'm like, this is awesome.
That's so
It's gonna be such
great.
hard work, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
And last year when he was kind of talking about like trials and Sam's going to gradually deteriorate and it's going to culminate. Ears closed.
Oh no, someone's behind.
You forget about you. I got so excited. I'm like thrilled to play, and I think we never lost that excitement, Jensen and myself and all the writers. But you feel like you're in a pattern and a routine, and that can be good, but it can be deadly.
Yeah,
once you're like, oh, I'm phoning this in. It's
feel
death.
safe and yeah. You need to be a little scared. In art generally,
Absolutely.
you need to feel some
Kind
fear.
of in life.
Yeah, I agree.
So we got past that tough part, and this is not, and I wouldn't offer this if this wasn't the way I really felt. I feel like season 9 is our strongest storyline in several years.
Really?
That's so cool. I'm so excited.
What can you tell us?
I can't. They're going to murder me. I'm not allowed to say anything until the panel, but it kind of, and I haven't seen the final
This isn't going to
episodes.
post until actually when the show, when you guys come back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I maybe can say some stuff.
But also, say this isn't going to post until then. Say anything that you people can't be fucking tweeting though.
Right.
Yeah, y'all look at you, motherfuckers. Yeah, I don't trust any of you. I don't trust you.
Let me see.
I don't trust
Hands
you
up.
at all. Okay, maybe there's
You
one-
two.
Yeah, you know those two. You know how I made fun of them last night? I told them I was going to show up and kill all the people they had saved. Yeah, that's just for supernatural people. They were like, is she going to kill people? So yeah, is there one thing you want to say that you feel safe saying?
We do pick up right where we left off.
Okay.
Not that immediate second.
Yeah, because usually between seasons, like someone was in hell for a year.
Yeah, a year's gone,
Yeah.
month's gone, whatever. We pick up essentially right where we left off. And Sam, for those who haven't seen the end of season 8, Sam stopped the trials to save his own life, but he might have been doomed either way. Mm-hmm. And so Sam and Dean are on a cool brother streak again. They've kind of had their come to fruition. They had their come to God with each other in the chapel. Mm-hmm. And they pick up right there where they left off, where Sam's not out of the woods. What's going on?
So fucking loud. Honestly, they're building a building.
I can't hear you. Drop quiet shit.
Exactly. Please go back to dropping feathers.
Pillow fights. So that's probably about as much as I can get away with.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't want to get you in trouble.
I know. God, I hate it. I feel so
just
douchey.
tell us what happens.
I
So
can't
just
say
tell us
stuff.
what happens. Let's
No,
do
don't
this.
say anything. Just what
Let's
happens.
just tell us what happens. Just tell us what happens.
Oh, this isn't recorded or anything.
No,
Oh, yeah.
it's not.
So
It's
then,
just a
so here are the episodes. I'm going to post them.
Well, why don't we do if anybody does have a question, we'll do a quick Q&A, then we'll do self-inflicted wounds, and then we'll say goodbye to the very special and superlative Jared Padalecki. Does anybody have a question? Yeah, right there.
Sure. Jared, you said that you didn't want to be as famous as Mary Kay and Ashley Olsen.
Right.
Is
Success.
that-
No. I'm saying I'm being successful in that. But
Is that something that you can control? Like, how much of it can you actually manage, and how much
yes,
stuff?
I believe absolutely, and it doesn't even mean you have to turn down certain jobs. But there's a way you present yourself. I mean, there's a reason why everybody knows what's going on with Kim Kardashian, but no one can tell you where Will Smith lives. You know.
Yeah.
And you're
No
like,
one knows what the fuck Ryan Gosling's doing.
Right, exactly.
You know, he's probably
He's
right around the corner at the Starbucks right now.
nominated. Yeah, I saw him jerking off in the.
Sweet. This is why there is a Jared
Actually,
Padalecki 2
he's-
episode of this show.
He's been to all my auditions, so if y'all are there too, you might as well.
Always
leave.
in the bathroom. Always in the bathroom.
You ever seen Half Nelson? He's always.
That's his process, actually. That's
That is his process. Yeah, that was just behind the scenes footage. But I'm a huge.
He's amazing.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, and I've loved him since Murder by Numbers.
I
I do that point for emphasis.
You win. I loved him since The Believer.
Yeah, he was great in that.
But
I
yeah,
haven't
no,
seen
your
that.
point is well put. That
You can, yes. So I think the way you put yourself out, the way you present yourself, even, and Jen and I talk about this because we have a son, and we're like, it's what you make it. If you walk around going like, oh my God, like we're so famous, we better not, then you're gonna kind of douche out. But like Matt Damon, Like, what about Matt Damon?
Ooh, I have the best story about Matt Damon. So, no,
Bring
this
it
is really
on.
good. This is totally, you would be interested in this. So, Matt Damon and Brad Pitt.
Damon.
Matt Damon.
That's a great story, too.
He's the greatest. That he was talking with Brad Pitt. And they were, they're both
Who's
parents.
that?
I've never heard of him.
Sorry.
Like some guy at the Starbucks. And they were talking about being dads. They're both dads. Yeah, that. He was doing that. Favorite episode ever. And they were talking, they're both dads. And Matt was just like, blah, blah, blah. He lives in New York.
Yeah.
He walks his kids to school every day. And he said the look on Brad's face was like,
jealousy.
so jealous, like so intensely, not in a negative way, not jealous, but just like, God, I would love to just be able to walk my kids to school every day. Like a big aspect of his family life is curtailed by and not by his own choosing, but whatever choices he's make, that's where he is now.
Right.
Matt Damon walks his kids to school every fucking day, like down New York streets. So there are choices that you make. Both him and Ben have made choices early in their career. They were still super famous to change that climate for themselves.
And it's also how you treat yourself in a situation. Like if you walk around like you've got so much cool stuff and everything's jolly famous Hollywood world, then people are like, oh my God, I'm going to be. But if you're like, you just walk around, people are like, oh well, I guess they're people. Like, well, this isn't any fun talking to them when they're talking back to me. Like, all right, but and I don't have all the answers by any means. God, I'm sure. Like the Pitts and the not even Clooney, he's more private, but the Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie types who have gotten so famous, you can't take it back.
No. Look at Kanye West. I mean, he needs psychological help, but he regrets it now. You can see he regrets it, and it's out of his control.
So.
He'll never get it back.
Yeah.
Well, the thing where he was yelling at the TMZ guy and like saying, "Don't talk to me."
Yeah.
Like just he's letting what's happening to him now like govern the interior of his mind. He's like always reactive. If he just shut the fuck up, just got on a plane and never spoke, never interacted with them, they would stop. They would leave him alone. But he gives them something every time.
Absolutely.
They poke the bear, and then the bear goes, "Rah!" And they're like, hey, when you poke this bear, it yells? This is awesome.
Listen, I was at the San Diego Zoo yesterday. I did not see that bear. I said, and I don't know what to do about it, but I 100% believe that you can do something about it, that we can do something about it. We are not, Jen, myself, Tom, our family, we are not the type to go like everything's important about facades or and you know what? In all fairness and in all honesty, it probably hurts your career a little bit. You probably lose some jobs. You lose some, what do you call it when you get paid to like do a commercial? And stuff?
Oh yeah, like just
endorsements.
Yeah.
You probably lose that kind of stuff. I mean, like, I hate to pick on her. I don't know her. Maybe she's a lovely lady. I've never, like Kim Kardashian. You're like, what is she doing? Like, why isn't Neil Tyson getting $70 million a year?
Right.
He's an
exactly.
astrophysicist. He's cool. He's quirky. He's brilliant. We were talking about him.
He's amazing.
Like, but why is she? What has she done? And maybe
she's just
lovely,
famous for being famous. That's all she's famous for.
Absolutely. And so I think you can really compose yourself and treat yourself and others in a way where they understand that you're human. And they're doing
We're making signs.
Baseball. Slide in the third. Steal.
Well,
that's safe, I guess. Well, steal.
This is safe. What's steal? So we are running out of time. We're going to do one more question and then SIW. So go ahead.
Yeah, I know you have a beer there. Are you a beer guy? Do you like craft beers?
Yes. I am. I do enjoy beer. I enjoy wine. I enjoy.
Do you brew your own?
I don't. Jensen's brewing his own now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
If y'all buy, I had some. But I mean, like, I don't think he's brewing it necessarily to put it out there yet, but he's just kind of playing with it at his home. So, and it's good. My cousin brews beer, and I enjoy it. Yeah.
Is like stouts or is like Belgian?
Right now it's like an IPA and a stout. Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Those are my two favorite styles of beer.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell him to do it, and maybe someone's interested.
Yeah, send Aisha some beer.
Yeah. And if y'all are ever in Seattle, Jen's uncle has a beer bar in Seattle called Browers.
Ooh.
It is amazing. It's like 100 beers in the bottle and 50 on tap or something. It's outrageous. And some of our crew guys went down to see Paul McCartney on Friday, and I was like, dude, do yourself a favor, go to Fremont, go to Browers. And it's right next to Pearl Jam Studio, which I totally geeked out. Totally geeked out.
That's so great. I met Metallica in the fucking elevator yesterday. Did I tell you that? Okay, we're running out of time. We're running out of time. So, Jared, do you have a different self-inflicted wound story that you want to tell today?
I do. I actually made a little cheat sheet.
Oh, awesome.
I don't know where I put it. Did I give it to you, baby? I wrote down one-word answers. So, my self-inflicted wound. Now, some people have heard this story because I've told it before, but I thought it was a cool self-inflicted wound, though I don't know yet what I would say drove it. But one time, me, my wife, and Richard Spate were in Amsterdam, and we were traveling to Germany to do some meetings for the show and meet some fans and have a good time. And so it's Richard, who's from Tennessee, I'm from Texas, and my wife. So Richard and Richard's done like Band of Brothers, and he's done some boot camp type stuff. We're trying to be like men. We're like, yeah, we'll carry your suitcases. That's what men do. Like, we'll do it. And we feel like so proud of ourselves. Like, yeah, we're dudes. And so we're boarding this high-speed train to Frankfurt, and we're like, baby, you go in, get 3 seats. Richard and I got the suitcases because we're badass. We're fucking dudes. And so she's like, I can get my own suitcase. And she's, for those who don't know my wife personally, which I think is, she's like, I can carry my own suitcase. You don't have to, like, what do you think? Oh, you're such a man. Like, good, get my suitcase. Awesome. Like, where are you at 2 a.m. when Tom's crying? So she's certainly no weakling, and she's a strong woman. So she's willing to carry her own suitcase. We're like, no, don't worry, we got it. And so we hop on the train. She gets seats, and Rich and I are loading the suitcases on. We get all the suitcases on, and I think we're in Amsterdam. It's like 9 degrees. I sweat as it is, and I'm doing stuff and running around. And so we get in, and we sit down. We're like, thanks for getting the seats. She's like, yeah, no problem. And she's like, where are all the bags? And we're like, oh, we put them up there. And she's like, oh, cool. Where's mine? Where's the gray one? And we're like, oh, the gray one's, oh, shit. Oh. And so we run out to the door, and her gray suitcase, and mind you, we're going to be in Europe for like a month. And so, like, nice jewelry, like all of her nicest stuff is in that bag. Oh. And there's no lock. And Osama bin Laden's just been killed, and so, like, the world is on red alert. Right. We're like, we're going to blow this up because it doesn't look like you're touching it, so it's probably about, like, so it's the world's on red alert. We're in Amsterdam main station, and the bag is right outside the train. And I'm like, oh, well, not a big deal. The train's not going, but the doors have shut. And so I start pushing the button. I'm like, one of these opens the nerve or something, and I'm pushing the button, and nothing happens. I'm like, this isn't going, so that's not going to open it. And then one of the rail station attendants walks up to the bag, notices that it's there, and makes eye contact with me. And I'm like, that's our, and she looks at me and just does this. Oh! I know, kind of like this enigmatic look where I was like, does that mean, like, come back, or like, call me?
Call me.
Like, I can't really gauge that. And then the air brakes go, and we take off. Oh. Yeah. And I'm like, son of a bitch. And it's all, and mind you, and Jen, and she's amazing, she's like, it's stuff, it's okay. And I'm like, I'm stomping up and down, I'm fucking sweating, and cursing.
Rage sweating.
Sorry, I'm spitting on you. There's this little girl from China, and she's taking pictures because she's a fan of the show. And I'm like, turn your camera off. I swear to God, I'm like raging. I'm pissed off at myself. And finally, I'm like, that's like all of her most valuable stuff, like wedding presents and stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm going back to the door, see if something, and there's a little, like, credit card size piece of glass. It says, I presume, break in case of emergency. And in one of those moments of weakness, I just go, smash, push. Oh! The train stops. Stops. Oh my God. Like the biggest button going on. Oh, well, before that happens, Richard's like, we got to find somebody. Let him know. So he runs to one side of the train, I run to the other. We can't find a single attendant. I run to the end of the train. We're headed this way, and the train, the conductor compartment is empty. I'm like, who's driving the train? I guess they were on the other side because they sit in the front compartment. So by now I've stopped the train. We're probably 2 miles outside of Amsterdam Central Station in the middle of the wilderness. The trains are stopped and all the doors are open because I pushed like if the train's exploding. Push this button. And I pushed it. I broke the glass and I'm bleeding. Oh my God. And I'm sweating. I mean, like, it's gross. Like someone was like, who's that guy who just got in from the pool? Like, and so this lady and this gentleman in their train outfits come running in, and they give me the most intense, sincere, like, who pushed the button? Who pushed the button? And I'm like, I pushed the button. And they run up to me, and they're like, what's going on? And they immediately, they're not like, oh, some idiot pushed it. They're like, are you having a heart attack? Like, is someone shot? Is your wife, are you giving birth? Like, what's, because no one fucking pushes the button. So I was like, well, my wife's bag is on the platform. And we're on the Euro-rail in Amsterdam heading to Germany, so English is not our first language. And so I see her kind of go like, I'm going to retranslate that in my head. Your wife's bag is on the platform? Yes. yeah, it's on the platform. And she kind of gives the guy a look like, and then looks at me and says, you can't push the emergency button because your wife's bag is on the platform. I was like, ma'am, listen, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was going to stop the train. She goes, you didn't stop the train. You stopped every train in Europe.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jared Padalecki!
Amazing.
Really quickly, prologue. So, what happened? What happened after
Well, she goes, it's going to...
Where were we in?
Well, yeah, she's like, this is going to be very expensive. And so I go up to Jen and I go, listen, it's a train ticket. They don't have my passport. If it's like, I'm just going to fucking get out of here. I'm going to run. Like, I see a field. I was like, listen, seriously. And I'm like taking my ID out of my wallet. I'm like, I got cash. My AT&T phone has like, we have the global plan. I'll just run for a couple hours and I'll call you. We'll fucking rendezvous. Like, I have some military I swear to God. I'm like, and all the train doors are open because it's the button you push and the train's on fire. And all the trains stop because if that train stopped but other trains go, they'd be like a big collision, people would die. So they have to stop every train in Europe. That's on that system, Eurorail, which is pretty big, so I'm told. And she's like, it's going to be very expensive. And she's like, I'll be right back. And she goes to get the administrator, whatever. And I was like, oh, shit. And so I go up to Jen and Richard, and I'm like, listen, they don't have my ID. We just bought this car. Like, we just bought it. You don't have to, it's a train, so you don't have to give your, like, they don't know who I am. I'm just going to fucking take off. Swear to God. And I'm like tightening up my tennis shoes, like, on my life. And so they're like, okay, yeah, cool. Because I was like, it's going to be like $100,000. Like, what does it cost to stop Europe's train system? And the lady comes up and goes, all right, it's going to be $150. And I was like, are we speaking in like single digits or thousands?
Yeah.
She's like, it's going to be 150 euros. I know. Because, and this is my like detective outfit. I believe it's because I think one of them wasn't doing their job. Because Richard and I both ran about 6 train cars and couldn't find anybody. So I think they charged me just enough to, and they didn't know if I was a kid. I was just like a sweaty American dude with like a bleeding hand. And so one of the greatest things, Mark Shepard, who's a Breton, I tell him the story the next day, and I'm like, yeah, I stopped all the trains in Europe yesterday. And he goes, fuck you. And I was like, don't tell me, like, and he has a family. I was like, did you miss a train connection or something? Like, I'm thinking I ruined his life. And he's like, you're here for a week. I've lived here for 40 years. I've always wanted to stop the trains. He's like, you're here for a week and it cost you 150 euros? And then we stayed in Europe for a couple weeks, and I heard many stories of other kids who had done it and cost like 10,000 francs, 15,000 euros. I think it's up to their discretion to do, like, if they thought, like, one of the kids was like, my buddy did that like a month ago and it cost him 15,000 francs. He did it in Switzerland.
Wow.
And I think they do it if they think you're messing around. They knew I was in distress.
Right.
Not for a good reason. We ended up getting her bag.
So they went back and they got the bag.
Yeah.
You went and got the bag.
Yeah,
okay.
She doubled
She's
back.
like, I'll get my own bag, thank you. Clearly, this is a task too large for you to handle.
I know, yeah.
Stay here, baby. Just stay here and be pretty. That's all right. Just don't worry, your pretty little head.
And the train was terrified of me. the little Chinese girl who was like taking pictures, I was like, let me see your camera. She's like, okay. delete. And she's like, I'm sorry, I was a fan. I was like, then just take a picture with me. Don't take a picture of me as I'm like storming up and down, profusely sweating. So we just took a picture together. And then we're now Richard and I are sitting across from each other, and I'm still beating myself up. I'm like Goose. I'm like, he's like, dude, it's over. It's cool. Like, it's okay, sensation. He's like, and he's sage. He's like, sick kids, that's something to worry about. It's like stuff, even if you lost, you didn't lose it. Don't beat yourself up. You try to do the right thing. And I'm like, okay. And then we're sitting there, and it's like one of those things where I sit, there's a little table, he sits, and the train comes to one of those abrupt stops, and my beer slides off and crashes. And like 4 or 5 people turn to look and see it's me, and they're like, I swear to God. Oh, yeah. Because for about 5 minutes, I was like, where's the conductor? And people were like, oh my, that's a huge American dude. Like, and it's the summer, so I haven't shaved. I'm like sweaty. I smell probably. I come from Amsterdam. They probably thought I was on drugs or something. I don't know. So that's a
really good one.
Yeah.
You topped the last one. This has been amazing.
Awesome. Thank you.
You are the greatest. Everybody give it up for Jared Padalecki.
Get away. I hope these aren't one of a kind.
Yes, there's some
but you did say something before I went off.
I don't remember what it was.
Oh, how long
you run Gilmore Girls.
Yes. So I did that for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And I had a deal. God, I don't remember. It's attacking you. I saw it.
It wants you. It wants you.
She's pissed.
A poster.
She's pissed.
Yeah,
that was Afro all over you.
You know what she's mad? Because Jared Padalecki is playing her in a movie. She's pissed about it.
And I'm growing it. It's gonna get there. I got.
We're just gonna give you some big prosthetic afro.
I did do 5 years. I was supposed to do more in season 5 than I ended up doing because I got a few movies. I got House of Pain? House of Wax.
House of Wax. I just thought
House of Pain of Wax.
Yes, House of Pain of Wax. Because you're a mid-90s hip hop artist. Sorry about that.
You don't have to qualify that. I understand House of Pain, but I unfortunately was not Captain House of Pain. But it was I did Flight of the Phoenix and Cry Wolf and maybe.
So you were cranking. You were cranking in there. You were making a bunch of films. Yeah, that's great.
It was. Yeah, and I did New York Minute.
Oh, a classic.
Eat it. The classic.
Oh, the classic. The only classic.
Yeah, that is the
Olsen
only,
twins.
That's
vintage.
right.
Best,
yeah, we've said enough. Yeah. So back to allergies.
He's hoping you don't ever Google it. He doesn't want you to know what it was.
That was certainly a learning experience.
Everybody has one. Did we talk about this on the last time that everybody has a movie like that? That you can't be in this business for any duration of time without having, I always say everyone has their legend.
Yeah.
Yes. Anybody remember the Tom
Now,
Cruise movie?
Are you dogging Legend?
I'm dog Legend. That movie sucks.
Myself and a room full of.
It is so bad. It's so bad that when you're watching, you're like, I'm enjoying this because it's bad, but it doesn't make it good. It's just bad.
But it's not. Yeah, but is it bad where you finish it, or is it bad where you go like, I'm not going to finish it?
It's bad where if it's on cable, you turn it on, fall on the ground laughing, and then turn it off.
All right. All right.
It's Tom Cruise in a loincloth, and then.
Hey, you had me at loincloth. I mean, what's wrong with you?
It's so bad. So everybody has that movie, and I actually people always say like, did you know? Like, did you know that was going to be, good or bad? I mean, you know when something's going to be good. You don't always know when something's going to be bad.
It was a coin toss. I mean, we knew that they were, and I was also at that point in time where it was like, and Gilmore Girls, honestly, when I was on Gilmore Girls, no one knew.
Right.
Now they're like, oh, you were on Gilmore Girls. Like, where were you like 10 years ago?
Right.
When I thought I was hot shit and no one knew. Because I didn't write any of it. And people I love.
But I also think you can't deliver that stuff. You have to have the facility to deliver. I mean, you can have great dialogue, but you still have the facility to deliver it. And you've seen an actor who you're like, this is a mouthful for this person and they can't chew it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like
sometimes,
And you feel like that a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And then it's up to the editors and the directors to kind of fix it for you.
Oh, God, help me.
I know. But yeah, so there was pressure, but it wasn't insurmountable. And I think I was too naive to it. I mean, I booked it pretty quickly. So it was a double-edged sword because I didn't have time to necessarily learn the technique, but I also didn't have time to worry about it.
Right.
I was like, oh, I guess this is what happens. You move out for a month, and that sounds really arrogant, but I booked things quickly. It just happened.
Yeah.
And I guess, I mean, for a tall white dude, there are many, many roles. So, you know what I mean?
You know what there are? All of the roles.
Exactly.
You know what there are for giant
I'm actually
black
playing
women?
you in a movie
3 of the
next
role.
year.
You are. They're like, we're going to cast Aisha Tyler in the role. It was Aisha Tyler life story.
I just got cast as Aisha Tyler.
Like an Aisha Tyler type. But it's going to be Jared Padalecki.
It is, no, but...
You've got the height for it.
I do. That's barely an exaggeration. Probably 90% of the roles. So,
yeah.
Yeah, but I booked stuff quick, and I didn't have time to really go like, oh, shit, this is a big deal.
Right.
So,
and how long were you on Gilmore Girls?
I did 5 years. I did a deal where I was a series regular for like a year at a time, and then in season 5, I had a guest star. I wanted to kind of transition to movies, or so I thought. I didn't know. I was like,
yeah, but that's always your goal. Everybody's goal.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think. Though I certainly would never dog TV. I always do this. I get in front and I start sweating.
It's warm in here.
No, you know what? I just gotta. I'm a sweater. I'm gonna deal with it. Ask my wife. She will vouch. Also, apparently, I'm a snorer.
Is that a discovery?
Well,
like
I guess so, because you always kind of go like, no, I'm not.
Or do the thing where you go, it's just because I had a cold. It's not. I don't snore.
I
snored last night.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I'm not a snorer. It's just that what happened at one time. That's all. I don't normally snore.
Yeah.
What did you do to make me snore?
And I had a thing. I had a Sudafed, and now my body is antihistamining.
Yes.
All over
through your forehead. If anybody has any allergies, come touch Jared's forehead.
I am
apparently,
right here.
He's sweating antihistamine. You may know Jared Padalecki from a million things, but most notably from the Gilmore Girls and Friday the 13th, the big reboot that happened a couple years ago. But he's a big fat fucking TV star on a show called Supernatural, which I have seen very, very many episodes of. I cannot say I've seen all of them, but I've seen enough to claim like super fandom, but not like nerd super fandom. I know there are people here who know a lot more about that universe than I do. They need psychological help, but I know enough. And I love this show, and I've seen at least every episode for the past 3 seasons, and I'm really, really excited. So everybody give it up for Jared Padalecki! Yay! He's working his way through the crowd. Hooray! It's so exciting. Is that right here? Yay! Jared Padalecki, welcome to my show.
Thanks, guys.
It's so exciting.
I didn't realize
that
was the first sequel. That's
yes,
very, very
you
cool.
are my first sequel. It's very exciting. And the last time we did a show together was actually last Comic-Con. That's where we met.
That's right.
Yeah.
We were all alone in a diner.
In a really echoey diner.
Amazing.
Behind Nerd HQ.
That's right.
Yeah, behind Zach's thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back.
And he drank a beer last time, and he's drinking a beer this time.
I'm drinking a beer again.
Because Jared's not fucking around. So
No, I'm
it's
not.
so exciting to have him here. Now, we got to do your origin story the last time we were together.
Yes.
And so rather than do that again, because, we're not rebooting Jared
Sure. No.
Padalecki.
It's the same origin.
Yeah,
Nothing's
it's
changed.
not like we moved on to a different Superman and we got to start from the beginning.
Well, now I'm from a different place entirely. I'm totally different than I used
different place on the planet.
Yeah.
Your
Now
name,
I'm
not-
Canadian. And I'm a girl.
Yeah, exactly. And then the change. You're
Someone should have
mid-transition
gone,
right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought we would do a different origin story because I don't feel like we did it that much in the last conversation.
Okay.
Which it's just to start with the experience that you've had on the show that you're on right now, which I think anybody who's been on a series for as long as you've been on a series would admit that like something like that changes your life completely.
Yeah. Well, for me also, it's been such a dramatic. I mean, this is season 9 we started a couple weeks ago, and I'm 31 years old, so this has been almost a third of my life.
Yeah.
It's been over a quarter of my life, so it's difficult to think of somebody who kind of has a similar situation. I mean, I guess Jensen, though he's a bit older, and I tease him about it all the time.
He's on his deathbed, actually.
It's been a hell of a run. I mean, can you think of what you've done for 9 years of your life? That's been the same thing. I mean, you go to school, but you change schools.
Being married.
Yeah.
I love being married. I really do.
I'm not there yet. Sorry, all the girls when I grew up, all the girls liked Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
From
so I was like,
Family Guy? No,
Home
what is
Improvement
it?
Guy.
I don't know. What show?
Home Improvement.
Home Improvement. I didn't watch that show. I was too nerdy to watch.
oh, I
TV.
loved it. But I remember I always wanted to be like one of the sons on Home Improvement.
Really?
And all the girls had like the JTT folders, and y'all know. And I was like, fucking JTT. Like, and to bring it full circle, one time when I moved to Hollywood or LA, I was driving down the second apartment I ever lived on in Los Angeles, if anybody knows. Vineland Avenue is north-south, and there's a little small street between Moore Park and Riverside called Ensign. And I lived on one of the buildings on Ensign. And it's barely, I think they call it 4 lanes, so you can park on each side.
Right.
And there was a big SUV coming at me, and I was driving, and there were cars on this side, cars on that side, and I felt that the car was a little bit over into my side, and I was really upset. I was kind of outraged at that point in time, and I was like, so when the guy passed me, I was giving him a dirty look, and I was like, Jesus Christ, that's Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
And then you were like,
Yeah. Oh, my God, oh my God.
You hold up your folder. I have a folder.
Did. Wait. I'm not mad. I have your shirt on. Yeah, so it kind of came full circle.
How is that? You were like a romantic interest on that show, and I always feel like it's so weird to come into a show as a love interest, like because you serve a very specific purpose.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like when I came on to Friends, they're like, "Welcome to the show, and now make out with Matt LeBlanc."
Right.
And you're like,
yeah.
I don't think I brushed for this today. Like I need warning.
The whole garlic. No, and that must have been worlds more difficult because obviously Friends is enormous. And when I started Gilmore Girls, it was nothing. Like it was a pilot, and I think I filmed maybe 5 or 6 episodes before it even aired. Mm-hmm. So I didn't understand the pressure yet. It wasn't like, hey, you're on a gigantic, arguably the most gigantic show of all time.
Right.
Like here, come be interesting and funny, and So I didn't have that pressure, and I didn't have to try and be funny. I don't know.
Well, it was kind of I like that. I mean, the show had a nice, like, dry comedy to it. So it was like, well,
they're both Amy Sherman and Dan Palladino are both extremely bright, and have this great, like, caustic wit and just this very snappy banter. And I can't take credit for any of that. Yeah, as do I. And when we make it tonight,
love being married.
My wife is here, so I
know.
can't say anything.
It's awesome. I really
she's enormously patient.
She's the greatest.
And no kidding.
I mean, I think that's really unique and is extraordinary for anyone, and then for any actor to be on a show for approaching a decade.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the fact that when you came to Supernatural, you came off of another huge series. You were on Gilmore Girls.
Right.
And I want to talk about that because, that was like your first big gig, right?
Let me see. That was not my first ever actual gig, but I think I might have touched on this last time, but I went to LA when I was a senior in high school. I booked a pilot that didn't get picked up. It got rebooted and was called Crossing Jordan, I think.
Oh, yeah. That was a real thing.
Yeah, but it was called Silent Witness, and then they just were like, well, we like the idea of a female medical examiner, but this just didn't mesh. We'll do something else. And so they canned that project, but I used the money that I made to go to LA, and I was enrolled at UT Austin to be an engineer. And when I made it to LA, I booked Gilmore Girls and ER, and I paid like...
Yeah, you had like a nice run. Yeah.
And Gilmore Girls was supposed to be like 4 episodes. And I met Amy Sherman Palladino, and she just dug me, and I was like, sweet. I was like off the boat. I was like, hey guys, like this is Hollywood, huh? And I think, God love her, and I've run into her since. And I'm like, thank you. And I watched some of the old episodes, and this is not false modesty. Like, I sucked. Like, I was weird and awkward. I remember the feeling of like, I don't know, and I had acted all my life, but I had no idea how to act on camera.
Yeah.
And then it's like the kissing, and you're like, move your head to, you're like, I'm going to be totally romantic. This is my first kissing scene. And then you're like, okay, and you do it. Like, we didn't catch that. Will you tilt your head this way? And you're like, this is really weird. Like, okay. And you kind of, and it's weird, and it's...
People don't realize also, like, I was watching something the other day where I'm like, this is the most awkward, non-sexual kissing I've ever, where they're like, like, literally there's like this...
Oh, yeah. Well, that was hot. I mean...
I was like a tugboat going
for those of you listening, you couldn't appreciate that. That was magic.
But you don't realize the whole time you're doing it that someone is like, you're not in the light. We can't see what you're doing. Turn this way. And also, it's a stranger you're kissing.
Oh, it's like dudes, like camera dudes, and like sitting there with boom and scratching their armpits and burping. And you're like, this is how I'm going to film like a kissing scene. All the cute boys do it. And girls have the folders. And Jonathan Taylor Thomas didn't do this.